I want to start this video with a small prediction. Uh, According to these news that are very actively kind of appearing in the Western world, in US specifically, about the Omicron and how it's not scary anymore and the COVID is kind of disappearing, and it turns out that these cases that they were reporting about people that got COVID are not also exactly like very accurate, and all of these kind of things start to come up, which is also kind of on the side note hilarious because like basically they're doing it for 2 years, and there were health workers that would say that the COVID cases are not tracked properly. But then all of this was like, oh, it's a conspiracy theory, it's just crazy people saying some random things. Don't listen to that, it's so wrong. Now, 2 years have passed, and now the media is saying, oh, it's a fact, actually. That's what has been happening. And, well, it's just a new world now. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. There's no conspiracy theories, nothing matters. But here's a new fact, all of these like COVID cases are like now incorrect. And I talked about this in this previous episode, but it's very clear how the narrative and direction is shifting very fast to kind of the other side. They're like, away from be scared of COVID, be like afraid of this thing. And this is just like the little COVID part. There's like a ton more that very clearly is shifting like culturally, and like even in terms of like how politics are being viewed and things like that. So there is all of these things with COVID where now they're reporting that this is not that big of a deal. Actually, it's not that bad. Actually, people have immunity. Actually, there's literally some hilarious thing where I think it was something like, I don't remember exactly, so it's not probably like super correctly from like the data perspective, but the health workers that were unvaccinated, they were like fired or something like that, and now they are welcome or almost like forced kind of to go back and continue the work. Doesn't matter if they had COVID or not. And there are the cases where someone has a vaccine, they get COVID, and they're kind of supposed to just stay at home and like recover. But if they're a health worker, they're still forced to go back to work while they have COVID. So yeah, there's this kind of logic, good stuff, kind of literally makes no sense. So this is exactly what my point is. Because of these things are emerging and the narrative is very like rapidly changing, I believe in the next months, and right now is middle of January, in the next months there is going to be more shifts towards this, I guess, direction, kind of like further away from COVID. And USA is going to become this kind of leader in terms of, we have beaten COVID, now it's fine, now life is good, and we can kind of get over it and just get back to this normal type of lifestyle. And I believe once they do that, there's going to be a massive follow from European countries, like Asian countries, and basically all over the world. And that's the whole prediction. USA will go kind of first and like say, it's over, it's done, we're good. And everyone's going to be like, oh, yeah, it's good now. Like, oh yeah, there's nothing to worry about anymore. Or, well, there's like maybe a little bit to worry about, but it's all good. On one hand, it's great news. I think everyone's just tired as fuck from this thing. On the other hand, well, there is this situation that is very like obvious, that a lot of these like leaders of countries, they're not really thinking for themselves. And if you want to be an extra conspiracy theorist, you can say that they're not allowed to think for themselves because they are being owned or ruled by like a higher tier countries. And this is kind of like one of those examples. If like USA just says, let's go this way, and everyone just like, okay, follow that. then things become, like, I guess, a bit clearer in that perspective. So anyway, this is kind of a political thing. Interesting to see what's gonna happen. Maybe I'm completely wrong and I'm completely fine with that, but I was just thinking about how things kind of like change a little bit, like here and there, and overall how the world is kind of like dealing with all these situations. And yeah, I'm just thinking that might happen or it might not, but, whatever. Also, a couple of things about politics. During this week, there were so many crazy different events, like this tensions with Russia and Ukraine are going not to the good place. There is a lot of like worries, concerns, threats, and just kind of overall stressful situation on that side. Then also there were some really crazy like attacks on what's it called? The embassies, I believe, in some Middle Eastern countries. So yeah, there is some like hostile activity happening very actively, and that's just not cool to. It's not an exciting news. That's the only thing I want to say, and I just realized that like as I see this news, I'm like, oh my god, I want to like say so much about like this specific topic, but now it's been like maybe like 4 or 5 days ago once I saw some of those news, and I kind of like forgot about them, so I guess I don't have much to say. So that's what's happening with the politics. Now, if we switch on to something, I guess, more exciting, what else happened this week? This was a big surprise and it was really crazy. Adrian has joined YouTube and he streamed his first video, and just like it was like a crazy funny thing. It's hilarious and it's very like uplifting and it's very funny. I was just like it's just, I guess, a first kind of experience in my life where I would see like my friend on YouTube talking or like doing something. It's kind of that kind of thing. Yeah, so very cool. And I want to say it is also, I don't know why, it was either like motivating or something like that. I felt that kind of, I don't know how to call it, like a challenge or a competition in a good kind of way, because it's kind of like it's my friend, so now it's like kind of like safe territory where we can compete, and it feels more fun, kind of. I don't know. Maybe it's just like a big fun thing overall, because as I said, I don't really, or I have never really like seen my friend do something like a podcast or just like sit here and talk about some different things, which is really crazy and like it's really funny. So that was really cool and awesome. And yeah, and overall the YouTube thing is fun. I'm not sure where this whole thing is gonna go, because again, well, gotta go back to politics, but there is so many these little note like proofs and like situations where you can see how YouTube is being affected, and they also will kind of have a boss that like has to set the direction how YouTube is gonna work and where they're gonna go. So yeah, there are these kind of unpredictable things in terms of, can you even like make a podcast in the end? Can you even like sit here and curse and talk about some things that are actually interesting, or it's all gonna be like very, very strictly kind of regulated, and it has to be only like kind of fun type of videos. So I guess we'll see what's gonna happen. And I am also kind of not really even worried, like kind of doesn't matter. Yeah, also I have made the last episode, I think like a week ago or even more, and I've been like super, super busy. I took a really like long pause between even recording or even practicing, because just so much work and business and kind of like not stress, but kind of the routine shifted slightly towards like more workload, and now I feel like really like, wow, I haven't done a podcast in a long time. I feel like literally right now as I'm recording, I kind of even like forgot how to do it properly, so that feels like a little setback, but it's okay, although, it's a bit upsetting. And yeah, so I took a ton of notes, a ton of like things like happened, as I said, with the news, something that I really wanted to talk about, like this thing with like Adrian joining and like sharing his videos. Like literally the first like second I saw that video, I was like, I just want to like record my own episode and just talk and more, and kind of like explain more and kind of say more things. Yeah, so because I was busy, I just took a ton of notes, and now it's gonna be kind of like a weird. I just feel weird jumping from topic to topic, but fuck it, that's literally what I'm gonna do, because I just really want to share some of these things. Kind of makes some sense, but one thing that I really realized, and I'm thinking a lot about this, like YouTube, where do I want to take this, where, like, how does this whole thing work, and really what do I even want to do at the like core point of like what's the hobby for me, what's the interesting point for me. And I realized, and I think I talked about this, maybe not on the podcast, I don't know, yeah, fuck it, I don't know where I talked about this, but I realized how journalism is actually a very interesting type of thing in its own nature. Because, well, now I realize that. When I was a very young kid, I thought like a journalist is literally some weird guy in front of a camera, like I am in front of the camera right now, with a microphone in his hands, and he walks up to like people at a concert and is like, oh, like, how long have you been like following this artist, and then like this kind of like stuff. Or like, oh, like, what's the weather here, and all this kind of thing. Which seems very lame and boring, and that's what I thought journalism was. But now that I realize that these are like actually people that can research and report on some very, very interesting topics, I realize how interesting that is for me. And specifically talking about some extreme journalism where people dive, like they try to follow like crazy corporations, and like how they launder their money, how like they abuse the workers, and like all of this kind of like, the things that are supposed to be hidden. Extreme journalism, it uncovers that. It like researches those things. It tries to like go deep into that world, and then literally expose it to the world, which then obviously damages, let's say in this case, the corporation or the reputation of the CEO, or like all these things. And it shifts kind of, I guess, not shifts, but like shakes up this like muddy water, like that kind of thing. And I realized how actually interesting that is, and I was like, I would totally go into it and like really do it, because I like, there is a real world interactions. You have to go and interview people, like think, like research, track things, and it all looks very, very fun and interesting. And then I also realized how it's not really possible in every single country, or, well, it is a risky thing, because if we're talking realistically, what got me thinking about this whole thing is Tim Pool's podcast. That's really what they're doing, and I kind of like realized that. But these guys are based in US, and they are kind of focused on their like internal kind of like ecosystem, and how their own country runs, and how this whole thing works. And like, it's cool, it's interesting, a lot of people love that, and it makes sense. It definitely has a place to be, but still it is within the United States. And with like a couple of like thoughts and memories, I realized that there is, for example, a ton of journalists that are like that were talking about, let's say, Russia and the kind of things that happened there. And basically every single one of them were murdered, even if they lived in Germany, Sweden, US, UK, whatever it is. So That's the crazy part, is that this kind of thing is exciting to do, but if you try to uncover the bad stuff about some like really powerful people, it's not gonna end up well. And this is kind of the upsetting part, because really me thinking like just as a hobby, this is very interesting to do. But then, you know, the topics that might be like extremely interesting for like yourself might be actually a really problematic ones, or just dangerous to talk about or report on. And that's reality of like how our world works today. Like there are some countries where you would never want to go like deeper into their problems and the things they try to like hide and try to like expose that, because yeah, you're just kind of like doing the worst thing to your life, and like the worst thing that is like basically ever possible to do. While in some other countries you have some kind of like safe area, and even though with like safe area, this guy that I'm talking about, the Tim Pool, even he receives like crazy threats and all kind of like insane kind of stuff. So yeah, it's crazy, and it's very annoying, because just this whole fact that there are like, let's say, really powerful people that are doing something, let's say, negative, and they're very actively trying to hide that, and basically whoever will decide to like go into it and actually report and talk about this thing are literally risking their life. And it kind of like shows you how this whole world is literally upside down. Like there is just things hidden, like the worst type of things that matter the most, they're just hidden. Like they're away from public, they're not like for there to be like talked about in the news or presented somewhere through the movies or like some cultural movements or things like that. It's all hidden and like almost like doesn't exist, unless like someone with like good analytical skills and like really like sharp thinking mind decides to like go and dive deeper into the data statistics and like actually track what's really like happening with some specific problem. So yeah, this is annoying. Just yeah, I have no words, but like this is so crazily annoying, like how broken this whole world is that we're living in. Because you know, like literal like countries, organizations, like a country basically is an organization. Technically it is kind of like a business, like the entire government system and all of that. It is like kind of the same thing. They have like a direction, they have a goal, have a team, they work with each other, there's reporting, there's all of that. And they have like horrible secrets that they would never want to like anyone to know about. And that just annoys me so much, but that's also the reality that we're living in. And yeah, I don't know, I don't want to get too philosophical. I also can't really get really philosophical right now, but my brain is kind of like shut down. I'm trying to like not to fall asleep, so probably not the best time to talk about these things, but I already started. So yeah, again, I just cannot kind of calm down about this reality. And I guess realistically, like on the small scale of things, you're fine and everyone is fine. You can just live your life. You can still like be free to like, I guess 99% like accuracy, like to the 99% levels, because you can really do anything if you have the money. And you can also can get the money. Nobody's really stopping you from doing that. So in that sense, it's fine. There is nothing really to worry about. But then if you try to like, I guess, go deeper into some worldwide movements or situations, that's where just complete chaos and just madness. Yeah, and it feels chaotic, and I'm also not sure, like, because it does stress me out, but I also realize how much this whole thing is kind of just an annoying distraction and nothing really more than an entertainment, because something that happens globally, unless I'm not a crazy organization, it wouldn't really bother me. Like, it's not gonna like change the way I live my life or things like that. And with that being said, it still feels extremely annoying because I don't know, for some reason, and I feel like almost every single person feels like that, is that some of these like craziest, let's call them just conspiracy theories, um, I don't know why, but there is either informational value or just a ton of like natural interest. Because if you can see, like, we're living right here in this moment, and all of these different people that are living here with us on this planet, the kinds of things that they're doing and how it impacts the rest of the world, including me, like to some extent, that's like, oh, like I didn't know that. Like, that's like a really kind of shocking, crazy information. So anyway, done talking about that. Literally, I don't know how to like end, like what's the point there. But as I said, extreme journalism, it seems like the best type of hobby, like the most fun, the most exciting, the most kind of like risky and full of adrenaline and just like lots of like analysis, thinking. Like, this whole thing seems so exciting, yet it's a very dangerous thing to do, and it's kind of like doesn't make a lot of sense. I also, a couple of things I want to say. I saw some documentaries that were kind of like reported or recorded kind of in the same manner, when just a person decides to research some kind of topic and they go and talk to people, interview them, and like do these whole different things, like a whole set of different things, and that leads that they just stumble into something bigger, like a bigger problem, like a bigger thing that is supposed to be hidden by like a bigger corporation, for example, or like a government thing. And that sort of things get very nasty very quick. Like these people get like lose their bank accounts, they lose the visas, they lose ability to travel, they get banned from countries, and all of these things happen. So that's the kind of thing that happens. And you can really compare it with, if it's like a soft spot in the system, like that is a very, like a, I don't know, like an exposed nerve or something like that. If you touch it, it really burns and damages the entire system. That's why the defensive mechanisms are so strong to, I guess, punish the people who are trying to uncover that like nasty little thing. So yeah, that's the point. I'm still thinking, I'm not really thinking should I do it or not. I realistically right now, I'm just like, my only goal right now is to just go to bed and like sleep and kind of like recover properly. But yeah. All right, next awesome topic that I have. This, I wanted to talk about this so much, and I also see it also like all over the politics and everywhere else. And there's this argument where people talk about religion, and like there's so much like hate, like for the religion and things like that. And I guess I'll also mention that when I was a lot younger, I was like, religion makes no sense. It's complete bullshit. Basically 99% I think the same way right now, although there's like a small difference. And yeah, like it's kind of obvious that it used to like control people. It's just another power element to kind of like tell people what to do and this kind of stuff. But does it have also some good things about it? For example, that can it help someone who, someone who is like extremely lost or miserable? At least it can give them some kind of some kind of hope, even though if it is a false hope, that is still a hope, which can be like a good thing for them. So all of this is kind of obviously this problematic type of thing, because it does, you can say, manipulate people at least like a little bit. And it is more about, as I said, like this power, not that like it's something like spiritual or like something like out of this world, like amazing, or a thing like that. Um, so when I was younger, I would think, well, it's a bad thing. It makes no sense. Why does it exist? And like, how can we just like get rid of it? Like, it literally makes no sense. Like, why do we still have these like religious people and like these kind of like standards and norms that they have and all of this? And very, very recently, I actually realized that, well, things are balanced in the society overall, in like the way we live our world, the way we live in this world, the way we live our lives right now, specifically on like the bigger scale, whenever there's like, let's say, two countries are talking with each other, or how the big country regulates how like their citizens operate and work within that country. Things are balanced on like an action type of basis. So you don't really tell people what to do. You just you create a new reality for them. So they are like now forced to act within that reality, or just behave or live in that reality. Like, not kind of what I wanted to say here, but a stupid example would be, if you would tell people just like wear a mask, wear a mask, wear a mask, just put it on yourself and just wear that. People would never do it. But if there is this new virus and now there's like an extra reason for to tell people like you have to put it on because there's a virus, protect yourself, protect others, blah blah. Now people will start doing it. So something has to happen. That's the whole point. Now back to religion. What's the actually like my main thing that I'm trying to explain? It is that basically, as long as there are people that believe that we can be like this robots, or we can be this kind of like a person where you can just like plant the microchip in your brain and now you're this kind of like half digital creature, and let's say you're born in this world, you're like super miserable, you're like hating everything, and there is like this social movement which tells you it doesn't matter who you are, you can always change yourself. You can change your like skin, your gender, your like age, like your like everything, your entire identity. You can change everything about yourself, and you can be like so progressive and so like innovative, and like nothing matters because you're just kind of like this like mechanical body, and like there's kind of nothing else behind your body. So as long as these kinds of ideas exist, to balance it out, there has to be some kind of opposite type of thing. And the only big opposite type of thing is a religion, which tells people, it's about a family, it's about like doing good things, it's about like trust, friendship, and all these other things. And that's where things kind of like, they kind of balance each other. It's not like a perfect opposition, let's call it like that, but it kind of at least a little bit does the job. Because I guess someone who believes that they have a soul and they want, do like they want to like give good energy to the world, they would probably not really think of themselves as like a half robot type of thing where they can willingly just like, I don't know, like cut off their like arms so they can have like robotic arms instead, or things like that. Although I'm not even sure about that argument. I don't know, maybe even that makes sense, but it's a very different weird topic, and I don't really even like want to go really deep on it. But yeah, so that's the thing. Basically, things have to be balanced, and all of these like, let's say, new crazy progressive ideas, which are also good for society because they're like, that's how innovation should be happening. People should be like deciding, like actually what if like I'm some kind of like half animal or something like that, so I'm gonna live like an animal now. You should like call me like by my breed and the type of my animal, and things like that. So through crazy ideas, sometimes something actually good comes and society can use that. So it has a place to be, it like has to be there. But on the other side, you have religion, which kind of tells you just live this kind of like lifestyle where you're just like safe, protected, you don't do anything bad, you don't do anything like kind of crazy, you just like stay with your family, stay with your like, you know, friends, the close ones, you do the good things for the world and all of that. And of course it has a lot more, a ton more problematic things with like specifically different religions. Some of them are like aggressive and like all of that stuff also exists there, but at least it has, as I said, like at least a little bit of those, I would say, like higher meaning type of things. Like there is that give, I guess, person first of all a set of imagination that, you know, after you're dead you have something else. It's not just like you and your body, there is something else. And if imagination is strong enough, it will lead to hope. A person will start hoping, actually, you know what, I hope this is like a thing, I hope this, like, you know, I hope I have a soul, I hope there is something else after I die, I hope it's not just like so boring and scary. And then after that, if you really, really hope, I guess that slowly turns into a belief where you start believing, you know what, actually, like, I'm doing good things, so it makes sense, I want to be like a good person, I'm aligned with that, and that will lead me to like something maybe like bigger or greater or whatever. Which has good sides to it, but then also has horrible sides to it, because just like with the like progressive type of approach, some of these crazy ideas, they can be limiting, they can be wrong, they can be harmful, specifically when religion tells you to, like, you know, resist this, resist all of your urges, resist basically every single like thing that is good for you or like that feels good for you. So there's harm there as well. It's good and bad combined together, but separated towards these like two directions. So kind of going back to this like initial part, I was thinking, like, is it possible that we actually get rid of these, like, all of these churches, religious people, and all this like crazy mad stuff that people are like thinking, oh, you know, like I have to be like you know, like praying, and like that will give me some good type of thing. And then I literally realized how, if you take it away, the only thing that's going to be left is like the craziness and some of the good parts from the progressive type world, which is kind of arguably even worse to some extent in some cases. So that's also bad. That's even like worse in some cases. So you don't even want to remove that. I realized that, like, as I said, I was kind of all the way, like, I was like 100% for like removing and getting rid of the religion, because it's kind of like outdated and it makes no sense. But I realized how basically that is wrong, and there's a ton of good in that, and that helps a lot of people through, I guess, different ways and with different situations. And it definitely has, again, bad things about it. So anyway, I'm kind of losing my thoughts. God damn it! I should have like at least taken a nap before recording this, but it's late, and you know what? This is 5 struggles at the same time: trying to remember the English words, trying to not fall asleep, and also what was the time? Okay, I think I have 5-10 minutes more, but yeah, anyway, so that's the this whole religion type of thing. And I actually, so with all of that being said, I actually think this is a good thing. And it made me think that realistically, this is very stupid to say, but I guess not stupid, but kind of shocking for me to say that. But I am, as soon as I realized that, I also realized that I'm kind of almost pro-religion. Kind of, okay? I have to really say that, kind of. Because I don't think people should like go to church and do all these crazy things. But overall, for the society and the way, you know, people get into real trouble, and they don't know how to get out of it. And literally a thing like religion can actually give them hope, because it's, like it gives them hope that something good can happen, which can lead them towards actually trying to make a better world for themselves and then others. And then so that has to exist because it does help people. So yeah, I saw good things in it and then bad things in it, and then yeah, it was, I guess, like a small understanding. Although I feel like it's so common sense, it's kind of like hard to even, I guess, say like, wow, I like learned something from this, because it's kind of really, really obvious. Like, I didn't really say anything new here, I believe. But yeah, anyway, that's the point. And also, I was thinking about this a lot, and this really connects to this topic, because this is kind of a shame, and this is kind of like a, I don't know, upsetting, kind of like deeper, even like crazier kind of thing. But let's say roughly we're speaking like on this side you have progressive, on this side you have this kind of like religious type thing. All of the progressive type things, or well, maybe all of them, or like almost all of them, are, you can say, kind of materialistic, or maybe not materialistic, but this is something that you can measure. This is something that you can like put into numbers, like in terms of like how much, how many, what's the size, what's the like, like things like that. These are like very, very measurable type of things. You literally can apply numbers to it, like how much money you have, like make more money. What's your height, like how tall are you? Like you can, try to be taller. Yeah, it makes no sense, but the performance and the efficiency can also be here. Like how many, let's say, words can you read per minute? It's number per minute. How fast your car can go, like how efficient it is to like deliver something, like it's this many kilometers per hour. So those are, I guess, all of that is good. This is our world where we live in, so we need those things. The like upsetting type of thing is that from the other side, from the opposition, things that I see positive, something like again, belief, like friendship, like goodwill, like good intentions, things like that. You cannot measure any of that, but they are very, very important. And they are, like, in my theory, like the way I understand the world, the way like I kind of like operate, I really believe that you can judge anyone based on their intentions, because their actions can be, like, the measurable actions can be bad, but if the intention is good, you can really understand like how this person operates and how they kind of see the world, and like what made them take this action, even though it was, let's say, false or incorrect. But you cannot judge them just based on the action, because then you would say, well, they are a bad person. But if you consider their intentions and that the fact that they did like a wrong action, that leads towards realizing that they're actually a good person. They just made a mistake or things like that. So it's like a bit deeper type of thing, and you cannot measure intention. You can never like really know like what kind of intention the person has. Like, and I really believe that is like super, super important with like everyone, like any kind of like social connecting type of thing, like with your like friends, family, parents, business owners, like friends, co-workers, like any of that stuff. It is very, very important to notice and try to understand what's the intention of the other side. Is it like a good one, or is it kind of like they're trying to take advantage of you, your time, your resources, and things like that? And as I said, you cannot like put it into like a machine or a scanner, or there's an app on the phone where you take a photo of them and it tells you like, oh, it's good intentions. Like, you cannot like it doesn't exist in this material world. It's just like somewhere like out there. Interestingly enough, the mental health in itself, like it also, I guess, kind of does not exist in the physical, although you can argue because there's like chemistry in the brain and you can measure the chemicals and then that indicates, you know, the mood and things like that. So I guess that's a whole different thing. But yeah, and I think this is where, like, this fact that you cannot measure these good things, like, let's say, just another example, if someone's a good person, how do you measure good? Like, how do you measure good? Like, and I guess a simple answer would be something like, well, they donate to charity, like they just give away the money. Okay, so if someone, like, let's say a super crazy criminal corporation that literally does the horrible shit, they donate, like, I don't know, let's say 1 million to some charity, they're good now? Or let's say even if it's just a one person, to make kind of like it's a lot simpler. Let's say someone has done some horrible things, but they have money and they decided to donate like half of their money to the charity. They're a good person now? Like, I just don't I wouldn't agree with that. Like, yes, you have done a good action, but like still, does it make you a good person? Yes, you have done a good action, but does it still make you a good person? Like, that's the difficult part. And then someone, let's say, who doesn't donate to like anyone, but they are really like, I guess, treating everyone with respect and really trying to help their surroundings or people that they encounter in like their day-to-day life, would that be a good person? I would say yes. But again, how do you like measure that? You cannot put those things into numbers. Like, you know, how many situations per day you had when you could help someone. You know, it was like 3 situations, and like how many of those like you have actually like, you know, did something good. It makes no sense because like it's all random, chaotic. You don't even know like what's gonna happen and all of these things. And then yeah, so with all of this, with all that being said, I think this is exactly a huge part of it that adds a ton of confusion to this, to these two parts of the world, the progressive one and the very religious one. Because on the progressive type of things, you want the numbers, you want tracking, because you're like, fuck the bullshit, just like, let's be efficient, let's kind of like see, let's calculate, let's see like what's up. Because on numbers you can base everything, like math, the only like proven, reliable, stable type of thing that you can like base everything on. Like that's that you can prove basically anything through math, at least like that's kind of what they say. Actually, it's kind of interesting now to see like what can math prove in terms of, let's say, your soul or the goodness or like intentions or things like that. So but overall speaking, that's on their side. And then if you say some other things like, no, you know, like do good things, like I don't know, something like karma or whatever it is, it's like it sounds immediately like bullshit because it's not measurable. And people that are in that type of mindset, in the like progressive type of mindset, of course they would completely disconnect from that, because like this is the kind of language that they speak. They speak language of numbers and like very like material, let's say practical type of things that you can like touch and see, and like that's in kind of like a world that you want to like operate in, because it's the one where you feel safe. And yet people that are on the, let's say, I keep calling it religious side, although that's not even, I guess, the right way to call it, but the way they see the world is it has a lot more this like invisible, immeasurable type of things that more, I guess, they get closer to like senses, and where you can like sense that the person, you know, is I guess not like a bad person or not someone crazy or something like that. And then you also have this, like, I guess, again, belief and things like that. And belief and hope, I wanted to say. Belief and hope and things like that. And that is very, like, the more you believe in it, the more it makes sense for you, but then the more crazy you kind of become to others if they're not on the same wave. So it's really weird how we are like this, and everyone, I guess, really, like, if we are going, like, kind of to the bottom of these things, or to the foundation of it, I really believe it all comes down to emotional aspect. It's just that people on one side find comfort and safety in a reality where they can measure everything and put everything into these, like, numerical type of things, like formulas and all of that. And that's where, like, okay, everything makes sense. So I feel, like, comfortable here. I feel, like, reliable, and I can operate here. And then other type of people, or the opposite side, feels more comfort in more spiritual type of mindset, or I guess overall, like, approach to life, because they understand that the material aspects, they can kind of, like, be unpredictable or chaotic. You can lose them and all of that. So you don't want to be attached to those because it is so chaotic and so easy to lose. And so you want to find stability in something else. And then what do you find stability in? In something that is not material anymore, which is the next thing that is, like, now immeasurable. It's the hope, it's the belief, it's the intentions, and all of that kind of stuff. And again, as I said, at the bottom of this whole thing is just people have comfort and, like, I guess, safe emotions, the good emotions, even like a hope. As I said, I brought it up multiple times. It is, I feel like it is an emotion. Like, this is something that seeds that, like, something good is going to happen to you. And you want that good happening to you, because the good brings you the comfort, brings you the safety, brings you that, I guess, approval, validation, like those things combined. And yeah, happiness, like, at the end of these things is also happiness, which is also an emotion. Like, when you feel right, you feel like you've made the right decision, and things like that. So yeah, I guess the final thought here is that people are just looking for the emotions of comfort, like the ultimate emotions of comfort, and they're seeing it in different things. And I also believe it makes a lot of sense, because people have different experiences and, I guess, things like that. For someone who has been, let's say, through some, like, very, like, difficult type of things, difficult life situations, they are more leaning towards finding comfort in something that is not materialistic, or something that can be measured, because now they realize that something that can be measured and something that is materialistic is so easy to lose. It can be gone, like, very fast. So that's my couple of thoughts. Did not want to get this deep, but whatever happens. I have some other funny things to say, or I don't know if they're funny, but anyway, that's it for now. I should record these a lot more often. This feels really bad. Like, yeah, I'm kind of disappointed at the end of the recording, because I messed up so many words. It's probably gonna be the worst one to listen to, but yeah, it's all good. Still just figuring shit out, and it's all good. So thank you for watching, and let's see what's gonna be on the next episode.